will be the next Dalai Lama and who gets to choose him? These are questions with deep spiritual, political, cultural weight, not just for Tibetans, but for the entire world. And as the Dalai Lama turns 90 this week, he has announced that his reincarnation will be recognized by the Ganden Phodrang Trust, the non-profit he founded. And this directly challenges China, which insists it alone will choose his successor. And India has hit back, saying only the Dalai Lama and the established Tibetan institution can decide. Here's what happened. A day after China claimed that the Dalai Lama successor will need its seal of approval, the Indian government says only the Dalai Lama himself and the established Tibetan institution have the authority to decide on his reincarnation. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju, who is a practicing Buddhist, called the Dalai Lama the most important and defining institution for Buddhists, adding that nobody else has the right to make such an important decision. Rijiju, in fact, will represent India at the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday celebrations that are set to take place in India's Dharamshala on the 6th of July. And in an exclusive conversation with WION Siddhant Sibal, the president of the Tibetan govt-in-exile has said that India could be a very likely choice for the next Dalai Lama's reincarnation, and that the decision will depend on signs from His Holiness when the time is right. Listen to this.
His Holiness is born in a not free world, in a controlled authoritarian regime, then His Holiness would not have the freedom to carry forward his responsibilities. That is why His Holiness says he will be in a free world. And India obviously is a very likely choice for His Holiness, because there has to be a relation between the parents and the community that His Holiness will born, and there should be a master-student relationship between the family and the community where His Holiness is born. That is why, if His Holiness is reborn in India, which is very likely, and I cannot confirm it because it's for His Holiness to decide. As was mentioned also at the Meet the Press yesterday, it is too early right now. So for His Holiness to leave any signs or messages regarding his next life, it will come only when the time is right. So Chinese government always says that they welcome His Holiness to visit China and Tibet, but they put this condition that His Holiness should stay back. And because of that, His Holiness has responded that if His Holiness gets to go to China or Tibet, he will go, but not live there because there's no freedom there.
But China has rejected the announcement, insisting only it can approve the next Dalai Lama. The Chinese Foreign Ministry on Wednesday said that the country's leaders had the right to approve the Dalai Lama's successor as a legacy from imperial times, and that China practices a policy of freedom of religious belief. A selection ritual in which the names of possible reincarnations are drawn from a golden urn dates to 1793, during the Qing dynasty. The president of the Tibetan govt-in-exile has called China's claim absurd. He says that a government that does not believe in any religion, saying that it will recognize reincarnate lamas, is absurd. He reiterated what experts have been saying. The Chinese government wants to control the Dalai Lama to control Tibet. But the president of the Tibetan govt-in-exile has said, and I'm quoting, that will be a lifelong headache for them. And the stakes are high because China has used similar tactics earlier as well.
This government says is that when they say it's a break from the tradition, they are talking about the use of golden urn, which was introduced in 1793. I have always been saying there have been 8 Dalai Lamas before the introduction of golden urn, which was mainly to be used as a political tool by the Chinese, and that was hardly or rarely used in the Dalai Lama cases or the Panchen Lama cases following 1793.
In the year 1995, the Dalai Lama named 6-year-old Gedun Choike Nema as the 11th Panchen Lama, a crucial spiritual figure in Tibetan Buddhism. But 3 days later, Chinese authorities abducted him and his family. He has not been seen for nearly 30 years now. Instead, China installed its own Panchen Lama, who is now a senior Communist Party figure. But Tibetans in exile still see Gedun as the true Panchen Lama.
It's very important. I feel his Institute of Dalai Lama is continuous, of course. It's very, very important. So not even for the Tibetan people, it's important for this Mother Earth. So it's very important. It's continuous. He always promised the people of the Tibetans, special for the Tibetans, and inside the Tibet and outside the Tibet, he always promised, I come. If I come in a free country, not in a dictatorship on other countries, he comes in a free country and he continues his 14 Dalai Lama's job left, he can continue what this is.
Beijing sees the Dalai Lama, who fled Tibet in 1959 after a failed uprising, as a separatist. But the Dalai Lama has made it clear his reincarnation will not be born under Chinese control. He has, in fact, urged his followers to reject anyone chosen by Beijing. And as the Dalai Lama celebrates his 90th birthday this weekend, the world is watching closely, because for Tibetans, his life and his reincarnation are more than just spiritual continuity. It is their hope for freedom.